The emergency alert pierced through the bridge of the starship Harmony like a blade through silence. Captain James Mitchell rubbed his tired eyes and glanced at the holographic display materializing before him. The translation matrix flickered as it processed the alien transmission. "Captain," Communications Officer Lisa Chen called from her station, her voice tight with concern. "We're receiving a priority distress signal from the Zephyrian Empire. It's unusual." James straightened in his command chair. The Zephyrians were a proud insectoid species, standing nearly 8 feet tall with chitinous exoskeletons that gleamed like polished obsidian. In the 3 years since first contact, they had been cordial but distant, viewing humans as a curious but insignificant species inhabiting a backwater system. "Put it through," James ordered. The hologram shifted, revealing the imposing figure of Queen Vexhara, her forearms gesticulating in what the translation protocols identified as extreme distress. Her mandibles clicked rapidly as she spoke. "Human vessel, this is Queen Vexhara of the Royal Hive. My daughters, my precious larvae, they have vanished from the nursery ship during our journey through your sector. We demand immediate assistance in their recovery." Lisa's fingers danced across her console, pulling up tactical readings. "Captain, we're detecting a Zephyrian nursery vessel approximately 2 light hours from our position. It's drifting. Minimal life signs." James nodded grimly. Zephyrian larvae were incredibly vulnerable during their first molting phase, essentially helpless grubs no larger than a human thumb. If they were lost in space, they wouldn't survive long without their specialized environmental suits. "Set course for the nursery ship, maximum warp," James commanded, "and prepare a search team." 3 hours later, James and Lisa materialized aboard the Zephyrian vessel in full environmental suits. The ship's corridors were vast, designed for beings much larger than humans, and eerily quiet except for the distressed clicking of the Zephyrian crew. Nursery keeper Zixtal, a smaller caste Zephyrian with delicate, almost motherly mannerisms, led them to the nursery chamber. The room was a marvel of bioengineering, living walls that pulsed with nutrients, temperature-controlled alcoves, and specialized incubation pods. "Here," Zixtal's translator rendered her clicks into heavily accented English. "Princess Lila and Princess Nixia should be here, in pods 7 and 11, but they are gone." Lisa ran her tricorder over the empty pods. No signs of forced entry or malfunction. The environmental seals show they were opened from the inside. James frowned. "From the inside? But larvae can't operate the pod systems." "Exactly." Zixtal's antennae twitched nervously. "It is impossible. Unless what?" Lisa prompted. "There are old stories," Zixtal whispered, "that the royal larvae sometimes seek. When they feel unsafe, they search for warmth, for comfort. But it is just mythology." James and Lisa exchanged glances. They'd learned that alien mythology often contained grains of scientific truth. "We'll expand our search to include the human ships in the area," James decided, "if they're seeking warmth." "Captain," Lisa's communicator crackled, "we're getting reports from the civilian transport New Horizon. They're claiming they have visitors." 20 minutes later, James and Lisa stood in the cramped quarters of Dr. Sarah Martinez aboard the transport ship. Dr. Martinez, a xenobiologist, returning from a research assignment, looked both amazed and slightly bewildered. "They just appeared," she explained, gesturing toward her bunk. "I woke up from my nap and there they were." James approached the bed carefully and felt his breath catch. 2 tiny creatures no larger than his thumb were curled up against each other on the pillow. They had the basic segmented body structure of Zephyrians but lacked the hard chitin. Instead, they were covered in what looked like soft, pearlescent fur. One was pale blue, the other a gentle lavender color. They rose and fell rhythmically, clearly in deep, peaceful sleep. "My God," Lisa whispered, scanning them with her tricorder. "The readings are incredible. Their metabolic rate has slowed dramatically, and their body temperature has synchronized with the ambient temperature of the bedding." Dr. Martinez smiled softly. They were shivering when I found them, so I covered them with my spare blanket. They calmed down immediately and fell asleep. James felt a strange warmth in his chest as he watched the tiny beings sleep. There was something profoundly touching about their complete trust, their instinctive seeking of comfort and safety. We need to contact Queen Vexhara, James said quietly, but carefully. We don't want to disturb them. An hour later, Queen Vexhara materialized on the transport via emergency beam, her massive form barely fitting in the small quarters. Her 4 eyes immediately locked onto the sleeping larvae, and for a moment, the proud queen's composure cracked. "Lila, Nixia," she whispered, her voice carrying a universal tone of relief that needed no translation. "Your Majesty," James said softly, "we believe they somehow sensed safety here. Dr. Martinez has been caring for them." The queen's compound eyes shifted to the human woman, who stood nervously beside her bunk. "You tended to them?" "I couldn't. Just leave them," Dr. Martinez said simply. They seemed so small and scared. Queen Vexhara was silent for a long moment, studying the peaceful scene. The larvae had unconsciously snuggled closer together under the human blanket, their soft, breathing barely audible. "In our ancient texts," the queen finally spoke, "there are prophecies about the warm blood guardians, beings whose life essence could calm even the royal bloodline. We believed them to be mythical." Lisa looked up from her readings. "According to my scans, human body heat and the specific electromagnetic field we generate seems to have a naturally soothing effect on their nervous systems." James nodded slowly, understanding dawning. "They didn't just seek warmth, they sought us specifically." Queen Vexhara's mandibles clicked, and what the humans had learned was deep contemplation. When she spoke again, her voice carried a new tone, one of profound respect. "The council believed humans were too young, too primitive to be true allies," she said. "But perhaps wisdom is not measured in years of space travel or technological advancement." She gestured toward her sleeping daughters. "Perhaps it is measured in the instinctive kindness shown to the vulnerable, in the gentle hands that offer comfort without seeking reward." As if on cue, the 2 larvae stirred slightly, made soft chittering sounds of contentment, and settled back into deeper sleep. "Your Majesty," James said carefully, "what does this mean for our peoples?" Queen Vexhara's 4 arms spread wide in what James recognized as a gesture of formal declaration. "It means, Captain James Mitchell of Earth, that the Zephyrian Empire would be honored to call humanity our allies, true allies." Lisa smiled as she watched the sleeping princesses. "I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship." In the quiet of the small quarters, with an alien queen standing watch over her daughters sleeping peacefully in human care, the future suddenly seemed brighter for both species, built not on treaties or trade agreements, but on the simple, universal language of compassion.